Agnes considers herself one of the first ones here. Most people will think she's an insufferable snob, but I understand her, having played her now all these months. There's a big storyline in the arrival of the Russell family, who are building a mansion across the street from my townhouse. And when my late husband bought this, it was rural. Central Park was just countryside. She doesn't know the Russells. She can't stand what they're about. It's all manipulation and ostentation, and it's everything that I abhor.
Judging by your aunt's face, it'll be a while before you see me here again.
I give Marian a hard time. She's my brother's daughter, and I know what my brother was like, and it led to his ruin. You lived or died by your reputation. I feel that Agnes has her best interests in mind. I really do. I know more about these things than you give me credit for. My brother was supposed to manage the estate, but he squandered it. I really had to step up and be the big sister.
Money isn't everything.
You say that to me after the sacrifice I made to save your skin. There is undercurrent of resentments.
I'm very grateful.
So you should be. I can see rather quickly that Peggy is extremely smart. If you're interested, I would like to hire you as my secretary.
That does interest me.
I can see that Peggy's journey is a lot harder than my niece's is going to be. Agnes has had a tough life. She respects anybody who still is going to make something of herself. Life has taught me one thing, Miss Scott. If you don't want to be disappointed, only help those who help themselves. That's the woman you see at the beginning of the series, is a woman who's just had to really make it on her own. I love keying into her extraordinary strength and certitude.
Ada is an unmarried lady, what was called at that time a spinster, an old maid. She is the sister of Agnes, who is a wealthy widow, and she is the aunt of Marian, who is, much to Ada's delight, coming to live with her two aunts in New York City.
This is Miss Marian Brook, our late brother's daughter.
For Ada, who doesn't have any children of her own, here is a chance to be a mother of sorts.
All we both want is your happiness. You may disagree with us, but that is all we want.
Across the street are the Russells, who are the new money, and their house is amazing, their carriage is amazing, their footmen's outfits are amazing. It's a palace, and Mr. and Mrs. Russell are industrialists and new money, and it's a fight between the old New York and new New York.
My mother, your grandmother, was a Livingston of Livingston Manor. They ruled justly until the new people invaded.
It's not quite as simple as that.
Yes, it is.
Agnes disapproves of them greatly. This is just like the devil has moved in across the street. Ada isn't so sure. She knows she shouldn't be interested in them, but she can't help but creep over to the window and look out the blinds as they move into their new home with all their finery.
First, Mrs. Chamberlain, and now them. Why don't we just go outside and roll in the gutter? It will save time.
Remember, Agnes, charity is the order of the day.
Agnes is really afraid of change, and Ada is eager for it. She's at this moment in her life when things have just been the same for a really long time and there's nothing happening, and now things are afoot not just in the world and not just in New York, but within her own family and on her own street.
Marian sees the world as full of brightness, and what is so cool about Marian is her strength of character. We meet Marian when she's lost everything. She's lost her home, she's lost her father, she's lost most of her possessions.
You will have somewhere in the region of $30.
And she comes to New York. She's very vulnerable and doesn't have any footing anymore, except for her aunts. And she's heard a lot of bad things about Agnes.
You are my niece, and you belong to old New York.
Agnes immediately tells her that she has to come out of mourning.
You will go tomorrow with Ada to my dressmaker, and no black.
But I'm in mourning.
People here won't know when Henry died.
That's the first instance where I really butt heads with her.
She can be so like him at times. She speaks and I hear Henry's voice, challenging everything just as he did. And look how that turned out.
Well, I like her strong views. I like her energy.
Ada is more understanding of me. We also have a bond over my father.
You told me Aunt Agnes hated my father because he sold our family house. Do you feel the same?
Agnes has always carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Henry used to tease me and make me laugh. So no, I don't feel the same way.
Peggy and Marian's relationship is really interesting.
I hope one day to write a novel.
I envy you. I'm not like you. I don't have any burning talent yearning to be free. I just want to be busy, to be needed.
Peggy and Marian's relationship grows from a transactional moment into a more meaningful relationship where Marian looks up to Peggy and is inspired by Peggy. It ends up growing into even more than that.
Why don't you look in?
Aunt Agnes would have a fit.
I could wait downstairs to make sure you can get back in.
My fellow conspirator.
Something I think is so interesting about Peggy's character is she's the one woman we kind of get to see in the professional class. There was a newer class that was developing during that time, what it meant to not be in the service industry or to be an inherited wealth aristocrat, but to be a lawyer, a writer, an architect. We see these different things.
I do know you've taken a chance on me, Mrs. Van Rhijn, and I appreciate it.
Life has taught me one thing, Miss Scott. If you don't want to be disappointed, only help those who help themselves.
She runs into every kind of obstacle that you would face as someone who has the audacity to dream of being a writer, as a Black woman in that time.
What other changes must I make to be published?
Your name is fine, but your race would have to remain concealed. It's the best arrangement I can offer. There are at least 2 white men sitting in a bar around the corner drinking away their sorrows because I turned them down. They'd kill to be in your position.
But they'd never be in my position.
We get to see Peggy have these interesting moments downstairs in the basement when Peggy is with the service staff of that household. And you're able to see the assumption that is made by all of them that Peggy must be poor, Peggy must not have access to these certain kinds of things.
Have you been working with Mrs. Van Rhijn?
Yes.
Suppose you think that makes you a sort of secretary.
She is a secretary and not a sort of anything, which puts her above you in the pecking order, Miss Armstrong.
If it were the 1880s, this would have been my story. The proximity that I walked today felt very similar to the proximity that she was walking, and it fell off the page to me. I know what she's carrying.
You're a New Yorker now. We both are. And for a New Yorker, anything is possible.
I think one of the most challenging aspects of playing Oscar has been keeping this moustache exactly the same shape for over a year. Oscar has definitely learned the value of a good verbal laceration from his mother.
Stop talking to yourself and ring the bell. I'm going up to change.
I doubt it, Mama. I'd say you will come down again without having changed at all.
In a world where almost everyone tiptoes around Agnes, terrified of courting her displeasure, Oscar is basically the only character who is fearless. I think fundamentally they're very close, which is why she endures this. Agnes views New York elite society as a small group of people with notable genealogy, and that's the way she would like it to remain. Oscar, I think, can see this new money is going to have greater influence, and he wants to be a part of it.
I think we should know the Russell family. I would go further and say I think it is mad that we don't.
Money is of primordial importance to Oscar. He is very much on the hunt for an heiress. He is independently wealthy himself. He will one day inherit the whole Brooks household, but he sees wealth of a whole new magnitude, and he has an insatiable hunger for the lifestyle that will support.
I must have more money.
I love all the minutiae of etiquette and the behavioral codes. I've tried to break as many of those rules as possible in every scene, because I play a character who has a hearty irreverence for those rules, especially when he's in the Brooks household. I think he's aware that this kind of charm is a commodity in polite New York society. Verbal playfulness has a kind of currency to it.
Handsome young men who talk are always useful. That's what my mother says.
And a girl should always listen to her mother.
Oscar kind of goes through life considering it a game where you can make up your own rules. This is a world where most characters are very bound by social conduct and the codes of behavior. And it's quite fun to play a part who is happy to break those rules. He'd much rather be happy than good.
Tom Rakes is a young, confident, hard-working attorney from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. In episode 1, we meet him and Marian Brook. And I think at the start it's a professional relationship, but he quickly becomes quite charmed by her, being put in that position as her attorney and trying to help her financially get back on her feet. He's the one who pushes her to move to New York to have a safety net and to be with her aunts. I'm sorry you're going, Miss Brook.
But you're glad I will be taken care of.
And good luck on your travels. I was interested to play a young guy who was trying to find his way in a world that he didn't quite know, but do it with, a chin-up and hard-working attitude. I think there were clear rules in that society at that point in time, for sure. He's walking into a world that has old ways that are set, and he's not particularly accepted off the bat.
We only receive the old people in this house, never the new.
He has to work quite hard to ingratiate himself, I guess, for lack of a better word, into that society. And there's a clear difference between the old money and the new money. Not that he comes from either. I think he comes from no money, really. And that's what's so interesting about him, is that he has a wonderful arc, really, starting from humble beginnings and through hard work, he manages to climb that ladder.
New York has plenty to offer the new arrival.
But what would I have to offer New York? It's just a joy to come to work and to work on these characters. And in this world, there's so much depth to everything.
I wish I understood what brings you to New York.
Simple. I want to be here.
And that's enough of a reason?
Of course it is. When I see what I really want, I take it if I can.
One of the interesting aspects, I think, of households with armies of servants, you had to rely on their discretion. And I think Bannister rather prides himself on his discretion.
Welcome to East 61st Street, Miss Marian. My name is Bannister, Mrs. Van Rhine's butler.
Bannister the butler is the backbone of the Brook house, which is owned by Mrs. Van Rhine, and her sister, Ada. Mrs. Van Rhine makes it quite clear who is the boss of the house, and I'm in command of the staff.
I wonder if they'll try to set him up with Miss Marian.
He wants an heiress, the richest he can find, and Miss Marian hasn't a penny to her name.
If you finish demolishing the characters of every member of this family, John and I will serve luncheon. We have a fairly compact staff, I think. Somehow we keep the house running very efficiently, thanks to my steady gaze.
Come on, John. Look lively.
I think perhaps he has a self-image of being the general authority, senior figure of the staff. I think his natural Britishness makes him come across occasionally as rather cold and chilly, but that helps with his authority.
I don't want trouble in the house, and while she may not want to cause it, she may be the cause of it.
I repeat, it is not for us to have an opinion. Certainly not that one. What I find very extraordinary is the people with money, how uncomfortable their lives nonetheless were. From the way they dressed, from the formality of their behavior, the extraordinary social rituals they had to endure. It was routine. That was how it was done. It does seem a terrible chore.